It's your boy Joshua Edwards live from Brooklyn, New York. This is Panthers Pride Television. Hey, you guys got to make sure that you are watching because everything that I've been talking about, everything is kind of just coming into fruition. I've been talking about this one guy in particular, Miles Sanders, man. I told you a while back, way before we even got into free agency talks, free agency discussion, he was going to be a guy that was going to be on the chopping block. And we officially released him on yesterday. Now, I saw a clip of this dude, Miles Sanders. It was a clip of him working in Home Depot, and they said in the caption, Miles Sanders, Carolina Panthers highlights. It was him in Home Depot checking people out, looking at paint and that type of stuff. This guy, he's from Penn State, all right? So if you don't know who Penn State is, they produce running backs year in and year out. Got a guy coming out later in this draft. Miles Sanders was a guy when he came out. Obviously, Saquon Barkley. But he has not lived up to the hype. Now, anybody can, or a lot of okay backs, average backs, can look very decent behind the Eagles' line. He was a guy that was coming off a Pro Bowl year. That year that they went to the Super Bowl, they ended up losing to the Chiefs, and that game that Jalen Hurts was balling. He was one of the catalysts to the Philadelphia Eagles running back. And then you fast forward it, the next offseason, we signed him to a lucrative 3-year, I want to say about $30 million contract. And this is his numbers. 205 yards this past season, 11 games played, 3 total touchdowns, averaging 25 yards per game, 148 receiving yards. His best game was the last game of the season against the Atlanta Falcons. And then if you go back to the year before, his best game was against the New Orleans Saints. He is a guy, he's not going to command a lot of money on free agency. Whoever signs him, they're getting an average running back. If you have a good line, he can look very good. But it was just time to move off of him. A guy that I also think that now, with him being released, I think that we're going to add Raheem Mostert. Now, Raheem Mostert is older than, obviously, Miles Sanders. He's going to be the age of 34 come this NFL season. This is his stats from this past season. If you just compare this 34-year-old to this 20-year-old, who is the better player? Rushing yards, receiving yards, more games played. The only thing Miles Sanders has over him is his touchdowns. And he's way younger. More receiving yards, more rushing yards. I mean, it's no comparison between the two. Now, I'm not going to go out here and say Raheem Mostert is a huge difference maker. We just need a guy that is going to fill the void of Jonathan Brooks recovering from his ACL injury. We know Jonathan Brooks is probably not going to play this season, and he shouldn't. He needs to go get 100% healthy before we actually go out here and throw him out into the fire once again. I believe he's a guy that could be Jamal Charles-esque. But this right here is a huge signing that we could have. The best way that you can save a young quarterback is, one, to have a great running game. We saw that with Chuba Hubbard, but at the end of the season, he went on IR, missed the last 2 weeks of the season. If you get Raheem Mostert, he's going to be a guy that can spill Chuba Hubbard and just kind of just fill that void just for this season. The best ways, like I said, that you can hide a young quarterback is to have an excellent running game, obviously a great lineman, and then you go out here and get you some number one receivers. So with that being said, let's go ahead and actually transition. So there have been also links and connections with Cooper Kupp possibly landing in the Carolinas. Now, Cooper Kupp this past season, here are his numbers as well. Cooper Kupp this past season, well, this is just actually his career with the New Orleans Saints. I mean, not the New Orleans Saints, the Los Angeles Rams. For his careers, no. Whoa, let me backtrack. This is his last 2 seasons, okay? 2 seasons combined. Last 2 seasons, played 33 games in total, 17 total touchdowns, about 2,259 receiving yards. He's going to be age 31, 32, average about 70 yards per game. We know that they just signed Devontae Adams. They still got Puka Nacua. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a younger Adam Thielen. Now, we need a number one receiver. I'm not saying Cooper Kupp is going to be that number one receiver, but you can't have the oldest receiver in the NFL on our squad and think that you can't go out here and add some more talent at the receiver position. If we don't go Luther Burden or Tech McMillan at the 8th overall selection, I mean, what other moves are you going to make? Now is the time. There's guys like Stephon Diggs that's still out there. Keenan Allen is still out there. Hell, Cooper Kupp. There are a couple of guys that you could go out here and still add to your roster at the receiver position. Now, Cooper Kupp may not be in a situation where he wants to be with a young quarterback. Maybe he wants to be in a veteran leadership, veteran role. Maybe he wants to still stay out in L.A. Hell, he could sign with the damn Los Angeles Chargers for all we know. I understand that, but what I'm saying to you is it's just not enough at the receiver position. Xavier Legette right now is known better for his talking than his play. Jalen Coker is an undrafted rookie. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. Adam Thielen is the oldest receiver in the league. He has one more good year, and if we're playing bad, he might get traded midway through the season. So these are just the facts, man. In order for Bryce Young to take that next step, which we believe he can take that next step, we got to go get some more talent, man. Cooper Kupp is a guy that can instantly upgrade your receiving room. He was a former Triple Crown winner. There's only been a handful of guys. Him, Jamar Chase this past season, obviously Steve Smith, Sterling Sharp, and Jerry Rice. Those are the only 5 guys. There's not a lot of guys out there that are making a receiving upgrade at that position like a Cooper Kupp. Now, the Carolina Panthers have also been linked or rated within the top 5 in free agency moves, currently speaking. Currently, we sit at the number 4 spot. Obviously, the New England Patriots have made the most transactions in free agency. Hell, they stole Milton Williams from us. But that's a whole nother discussion. When you just look at the moves that we've made, a Tershawn Wharton, you think of a Trayvon Moehrig, yes, I believe that we are definitely a top 5 team in free agencies, and there's still other guys out there. For what I just said about Adam Thielen, there's another all-pro free agent in Justin Simmons. We know we have to get better on the back end. That's why we re-signed J.C. Horn for a record-breaking deal. That's why we re-signed Mike Jackson. Hell, that's a reason why we might even go out and draft Malachi Starks or Will Johnson, because we need help on the back end. Justin Simmons provides that blanket that we need at the safety position. A lot of safeties that were in free agency are now currently gone. We signed arguably the second or top-rated safety in free agency, and Trayvon Moehrig, Hufunga's gone, Javon Holland is gone, and then it's still guys out here. So I'm glad that we have spent the money that we have spent. It is going to be a huge upgrade on the defensive side. But if we want to seriously compete in the NFC South and ultimately make it into the playoffs, we got to go out here and just spend a little more cash, man. Justin Simmons is not going to be a guy that's too rich for our blood. Like I said, we just went out here and signed this game-changing defensive tackle. Him, Derek Brown, depending on how we go in the draft, it's going to be very telling. This draft is full with a lot of defensive edge rushers. We got 4 fourth-rounders. We can mortgage that and go get a first-rounder or second-rounder. Hey, all the cards are at play right now, currently speaking. Dan Morgan, you have done a hell of a job. Dave Canales, you've done a hell of a job. Hell, the entire front office, You have done a great job of actually trying to reestablish the Carolina way, the physicality, the ability to reset the line of scrimmage. I mean, there's nothing more that I can say. David Tepper has opened up his I can't think of a word, hedge fund money right now. So, hey, once again, Panthers Pride dropping my mock draft 3 either later this week, probably later this week. Make sure you stay tuned. Panthers Pride, we out.